It was supposed to be a quiet funeral, a somber gathering where people paid their last respects in silence. The wind carried the cold sting of grief through the graveyard, bending the leafless trees above as mourners stood together in black. But suddenly, the stillness shattered. A police dog, a strong German shepherd named Rex, lunged toward a fresh mound of dirt, pulling away from his handler with a strength no one could have expected. His growls echoed in the air, his paws digging frantically into the soil as if something invisible beneath called to him. Gasps rose among the crowd. The officer holding his leash shouted in shock, but the dog wouldn't stop. And then, something extraordinary happened that no one there would ever forget. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the unshakable loyalty of animals, then please take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pawside of Tales, where we bring you stories that remind us of the beauty and hope that still exist in this world. Your support helps us continue sharing these powerful, life-changing stories. The officer whose heart bore the greatest weight that day was Sergeant Michael Donovan, a man with 20 years of service in the police force. He had been hardened by tragedy, shaped by long nights chasing criminals, and broken by the loss of his partner, a fellow officer who had been laid to rest in that very cemetery. Standing among the mourners, Michael wasn't just burying a friend, he was burying the last piece of his belief that life could be fair. His partner, Officer James Carter, had been more than a colleague, he was like a brother. They had shared countless shifts, saved each other's lives more than once, and leaned on one another through the darkness of their dangerous profession. When Carter was taken in a sudden, brutal accident, Michael's world collapsed. The only companion who seemed to understand his grief was Rex, Carter's canine partner, who had been reassigned to Michael after the loss. Rex had been quiet in the weeks since Carter's passing, his once sharp energy dulled by something even deeper than sadness, loyalty that refused to let go. That day, as Carter's casket was lowered into the earth, Michael noticed Rex staring at the ground, ears pinned back, eyes wet and unblinking. And then, in a flash, the dog lunged forward. People gasped as Rex clawed at the soil, his body trembling, his tail stiff with urgency. Michael shouted, tugging the leash, but it was as though Rex didn't even hear him. It wasn't defiance, it was desperation. The crowd watched in stunned silence, some whispering in confusion, others moved to tears without fully knowing why. As Michael stood there, torn between duty and understanding, a realization washed over him. Rex wasn't just digging at the earth, he was trying to reach Carter. He could still smell him, still sense him, and in his loyal heart, he couldn't accept that his best friend was truly gone. The sight tore through Michael's chest like a blade. He dropped to his knees, wrapping his arms around Rex, trying to soothe him. But instead of calming, the dog pressed his head against Michael's chest and let out a long, aching howl that echoed across the cemetery. It was the kind of sound that strips away all walls, exposing the rawest parts of the soul. And in that moment, the crowd couldn't hold back. Tears streamed down faces, some for Carter, some for Rex, and some for the reminder of the unbreakable bonds that even death cannot sever. In the days that followed, Michael found himself haunted not only by Carter's absence but also by Rex's grief. Every night, the dog lay by the door, waiting for someone who would never return. He refused meals, ignored toys, and spent hours staring at the badge Carter used to wear. Michael, struggling with his own demons, realized that both he and Rex were trapped in the same prison of loss. For the first time in his career, Michael felt utterly helpless. He had lost faith in the badge, in the system, even in himself. But then, something unexpected began to shift. It wasn't immediate, but it was powerful. One late evening, when the station received a call about a missing child, Michael was assigned to lead the search. Rex was brought along, though Michael doubted the dog's spirit had the strength to work again. But when Rex caught the scent of the child's blanket, his eyes lit with the fire of purpose once more. He pulled forward with determination, weaving through the dark woods, barking with urgency. Hours stretched into the dead of night, but finally, deep in a cold ravine, Rex stopped and barked furiously. There, shivering and terrified, was the missing little boy. The moment Rex nuzzled the child, whining softly, was the moment Michael realized that loyalty doesn't end with death, it transforms. Rex hadn't lost Carter. He had carried Carter's spirit forward, and now he was guiding Michael to find hope again. Word of Rex's behavior at the cemetery and his heroic rescue spread quickly. People who had witnessed his desperate digging now saw it as something far deeper, an act of love so strong that it refused to be silenced. Michael, who had nearly let his grief consume him, now found himself clinging to the strength of a dog who taught him that bonds never die, they simply change form. Together, Michael and Rex became symbols of resilience, showing that even in the face of unbearable loss, there is always a reason to rise again, always a reason to keep moving forward. And so, the cemetery scene that began in confusion and sorrow became the very moment that changed everything. For Michael, for Rex, and for every heart that witnessed it, the strange behavior of a loyal police dog revealed a truth more profound than words could ever capture. Love does not end at the grave. It lingers, it guides, and if we are brave enough to let it, it carries us to new beginnings. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Positive Tales. Your engagement helps us continue to bring these true and powerful stories of loyalty, love, and second chances to people who need them most. Special request. Comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel.